Welcome to Bootcamp 24. As every year, it's amazing to have you here. Meantime, this is a little bit the same like Christmas for me somehow when we're having Bootcamp. This is such a nice culture, and it's so much fun always. It's so great when everybody comes together. And especially this time, we managed to bring in folks from remote again. Last year, this was for several reasons difficult. So just few made it to Stuttgart last year, and we're pretty complete this year with very few exceptions. So I'm extremely sorry that we again failed to bring China here. Karsten, not sure if you're watching remotely. All the best to you and your wife. I hope she'll recover soon. So Karsten's got some family issues. His wife got a severe disease, and that's why he couldn't travel. And Tyron had a very practical problem. He didn't have a passport that had a longer expiry date than 6 months, so nobody gave him a visa in Europe into that passport. So yeah, and yeah, we're growing in China actually as well. We've just hired, I think, 2 people there. Andrea will probably tell a little bit more about that, and the 5th person, or the 6th person, if we consider Dujin as well, is joining soon. And yeah, we've got a couple new folks basically being here for their first day, or basically before day 1 even. Jason from the US, Manuel from Italy, welcome. Where are you? Over there, Jason, that's this guy. You'll still introduce yourself, I think, in the first stand-up, but everybody will get to know you already during the event. Same goes with Manuel. Where are you? That's this guy here, over there. You cannot overlook him. He's very tall. I didn't realize, because we also only met remotely so far. Yeah. So I think last year I said the place where we made Bootcamp was something. Was a venue that I personally experienced, that I appreciated when I was at an event. And then I said, okay, let's do Bootcamp here, and I think it was a very beautiful setting in the vineyards of Esslingen, and the weather was perfect, and even the weather today is much more perfect than it was anticipated. Now here again, it's a venue where I had some personal experience in the recent months, helped giving birth to UV Energy, the solar carport company. Who's residing here? By the way, Felix this morning said that's the tall guy in the blue shirt behind there, CEO of UV Energy. He said some people were looking at him like they know him, but they didn't know from where. Yeah, it's one of the guys standing around the carports downstairs, because that's the first prototype they built, and they need to show it to customers all the time. Yeah, so they're based here, and as you might have noticed, also we pitched a tent here in AI Express as an extension to our lab space in Schöneich. We've got some area behind that wall in the room, which will be used by the Bad Boy team, I suppose, and probably by the Delta team as well. That was unclear last night still. And then we're also temporarily using some area downstairs in the factory hall, which we're not really renting. We would have preferred to rent this because it's more lab surface, but it's already fully occupied. But now for a temporary time, we could use some space there, as folks had issues bringing up the machine to that room. It didn't fit into the elevator. So that was the first hack that all hosts and application engineering had together, figuring out how to bring this machine here, and then not being able to bring it up. We will still have that challenge. We will still need to complete that part of the hack after September, when we will have to bring this. So this will be the SPS demo actually that we're building here, and also beyond the SPS demo, we'll be able to use this space when we need it. You will see in the room that we actually have space to grow temporarily if we need it. AI Express is, I think, a super inspiring place. It's an incubator of a very special kind. This is the former Eisenmann Educational and R&D Center. Eisenmann is that Anlagenbau, but how would you call this? Company, so machinery, but it's more like, facility machinery, so to say, painting lines and stuff like that. Martin Jelle was working for that company before. He can probably tell you a lot more about the building and the details and the secrets of it and the history of it, which is pretty interesting. So here was the hall where the apprentices were educated, actually. So when you open some drawers of the cabinets and stuff, you will still find some neatly lined up pieces of metal that the apprentices, had to put to a clamp and just grind all day long, basically. And now it's a maker space, and it's basically a startup incubator and co-working space, and in so far very inspiring for what we are doing today, I think, and tomorrow. And yeah, so today and tomorrow, agenda, you already know this. Today is hackathon, tomorrow is seminar, and then I had issues labeling the third day because if I would have written fun, if I would have written team building, this would have been wrong, because this we're already having today and tomorrow as well. We're doing both. So I created a strange word, co-relaxation. But so whatever that is, what we're doing tomorrow, team building and fun, except of that we're in a room and talk to each other and work on something, but simply have fun. What else to be said organizationally today? We'll have the keynote now. I need to see that I accelerate a little bit, I realize. And then I'll make a start introducing you to the hackathon and the idea, and we'll do the first part of organizing it, and then we'll split up into the teams. And from there, the hosts of the teams are taking over. And then the rest of the day, there is action, and it's open-end. And yeah, depending on which task, but probably all the tasks, they might pretty much require open-end. So last night, we had the last debriefing with Sam and Abi, like at 10:30, or when was that, when we were talking? And realized, okay, not everything is perfectly prepared, but that's kind of intentional. Yeah? I hope things are not too much prepared, actually. And I'll elaborate why. But let's first go into the traditional keynote. I do this today because tomorrow we have another START program, which is elaborating on the strategy and the roadmap. So I thought it makes a lot of sense to put the keynote at the very beginning before the hackathon, even that we will not continue with seminars today. So as usual, I'm bringing up the Synapticon Creed to and pick one of these to hook in my keynote. Yeah, some of you, the new ones, probably do not even really know the Creed yet, even that I think we put it to the handbook, but some of you are so fresh that they probably didn't even receive the handbook yet. The folks from Suitbro, they will also come at some point, right? Yeah. They just landed. Okay, cool. Last year they produced something great, and they used the whole Creed basically as a storyline for that video. So I thought, let's remember last year first, and yeah, celebrate the Creed a little bit by that. I think I need to manually start this. Is that right? Yes. Click. That works perfectly. Is it the Wi-Fi? Is it, what is it? Where, by what? So we were super lucky to have such a warm weather still, based on what we were doing for the activity part, right? It's going to be less wet this year, I can already say. Used to be wet for two years in a row. Now it's. That's right. You might be right. Our activity will be less prone to wetness. Let's see what the weather does. Oops. Embedding YouTube videos in PowerPoint is not a great idea, I realize. So 2 years ago, no fear, our first Creed was the one that I picked, with some consequences you might remember. And this inspired me to pick number 4. It's not number 2, it's number 4. That's Creed number 4 actually. Go beyond. Because that's what a couple of people did based on the briefing, not to have fear. So what are we going to talk about this year? When you take a look at the Creed, I always say Creed, yeah, it's Creed. So we covered the first, we covered the fourth. So in a way, this is actually a bracket of the creativity part of our Creed. So if you look at the first 4, they're all about inspiring and guiding creativity, open mindset, yeah, no fear to keep learning, go beyond, make it possible, and so on. Now, what about the rest? Actually, if you look at these, they are about execution, about the other part to make things happen. And you might have heard the general advice that execution is key, and much more important than an idea. Let's take a look at why this is actually the case. I brought up another video, and probably this will be the same, clicking, 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 and then not running. Okay. Yeah, it always stops then in the beginning.
For individuals entering a creative field, the concept of idea versus execution is often hard to grasp. Ideas in themselves are cheap in comparison to fully polished and executed results. In fact, everyone in the world has ideas. Billions of them. Many individuals will even have the same idea, but will move on to execute it in completely different ways. One single execution of an idea may yield excellent results, while other renditions of that very same idea end up mediocre or worse. The execution is key. Let's look at the popular game Bejeweled, a simple match-3 concept created by PopCap in 2001. Since then, there have been endless renditions of that very same idea by countless other companies. Despite this, Bejeweled still achieved 50 million sales by its 10th anniversary. The polish and care in the execution of Bejeweled make it an outstanding gem among numerous attempts at the same idea. So again, an idea in itself isn't worth much. The key is how you execute it.
Yeah, so especially for a product, obviously, it's pretty much not only about the idea, but yeah, how well it's done, of course. But while this video was mostly focusing on the product execution, there are a couple of other things to execution as well. Of course, you also need to do very well in sales and marketing execution, because otherwise nobody will discover your perfectly executed product. When you've got something physical, at least, you also will need to execute the production extremely well. Otherwise, nobody will be able to get the product. And last but not least, and especially for a product world like ours, customer care execution is absolutely crucial for being successful. Obviously, because without that, customers are helped using the product, they will also not experience the greatness of your perfectly executed product. And that is actually something that we might experience during this hackathon, that even that, you might believe your product is perfectly executed, your customer doesn't even have the same perception and experience. I'll elaborate this later when we're going over to the hackathon, because that's kind of the main motivation of the hackathon. So only if we excel in all of these will be really successful. So doing stuff really well, that means it's all about perfection, basically, reaching perfection, and then we're executing greatly. So why do we actually have then all of these other creeds? Why don't we only have number 9, do it well, which is about the habit of quality and basically our creed to bring in the perfection element. So why are there all these others? I mean, obviously, number 5, plan. It's clear. Without a plan, you will miss it all the time. Or without a target, you will miss it all the time. I think this is pretty straightforward. Don't need to elaborate on this a lot. Persist. Most of us should have this experience in life. Without persistence, you will not reach basically anything. This is also pretty straightforward, doesn't need to be explained. But now, all the others, are they not even conflicting each other? Are they not even competing with each other? In a way they do, because if I basically try to do it really well, how should I do it fast? How does failing forward and doing it well harmonize with each other? Doesn't somehow work. How should I finish something quickly if I should do it in perfection? So these are really, really competing elements, but that is for a reason, and that is exactly also why I chose this year not to speak about an individual creed, but about these 4 together, and why this how to say this conflicting energy between them and the effort it takes to orchestrate them and entertain them all well, or basically play them all well, is key. So there are basically 2 ways, 2 different approaches to reach a target, to reach a perfect target. So you could approach perfection through massive investment of time, money, experience, thinking, and effort. So basically, and that is something that I observed is a mindset that is pretty much common in most engineers, that the greatest fear that we have today is that we will regret a mistake in the future, that we will regret having not thought about something in the future, that we will later learn that we could have done something better today. And that leads into that we're basically looking into all different kinds of things that we have to do and to get right today, and we are basically taking a lot of time in doing so in order to reach this perfect result. So thinking things through to the very end, and trying to get everything right at the first time, so to say, at the first delivery, takes a lot of time. But you can do this. It's a possible approach. Now, the alternative approach is doing it in an iterative way. So basically, approaching the target step by step. You basically, I mean, depending on which task it is, of course, you're incrementally approaching the target also in the above approach. But the lower one, I think it's in software development is pretty obvious, agile development and the concept. This is, of course, pretty much related, but I intentionally didn't choose these terms here because it's basically on a higher level and basically more relevant for the whole behavior of a development and production organization. So basically, what comes together? So the above one is pretty much focused on the perfection itself, and the other factors like risk speed, finishing soon, failing forward, and so on, they're not really implemented in this approach so much. So actually, you're only focused on doing it well, but not so much considering the other factors when you execute on the first approach. In the second one, we've basically got all of them together. in the end, also the perfection, but in the first couple of iterations, less of perfection. So we're risking speed, we're failing forward, but we finish something quicker. Now, let me ask you, which one is intuitively, do you think, the, how to say, the more secure, the more reliable, and the potentially a more successful approach for a company bringing a product to the world, and why? Which one would you pick and why? Just who wants to? What is good about the above one? What is maybe Frank was first. Yes. So what to do if somebody will totally hate your 20% product, for example? You find out, right? Because so there is this risk that somebody will say, oh, what a crap is that? But you will learn a lot that you do not learn in the above. I've got another video with a guy that you might know. It's Jeff Bezos. And he said something shortly.
It's easy to have ideas. It's very hard to turn an idea into a successful product. There are a lot of steps in between. It takes persistence, relentlessness. So I always tell people who are, who think they want to be entrepreneurs, you need a combination of stubborn relentlessness and flexibility. And you have to know when to be which. And basically, you need to be stubborn on your vision, because otherwise it'll be too easy to give up. But you need to be very flexible on the details, because as you go along pursuing your vision, you'll find that some of your preconceptions were wrong, and you're going to need to be able to change those things. So I think taking an idea successfully all the way to the market and turning it into a real product that people care about and that really improves people's lives is a lot of hard work.
So again, execution is key. That is message one. But then he added actually this aspect of iterating, right? And said exactly what we realized when thinking about it, that testing ultimately will lead into an even more perfect product. I mean, testing with the customer, right? Exposing an intermediate result to the customer. Of course, it's a significant challenge to do this in our field, because once we give a customer the impression that we deliver immature products and so on, this is also very bad. So clear communication about this is super important. And of course, in our case, a minimum of quality and reliability is always required. Yeah, we cannot deliver crap to the customer. So it's, of course, to be taken with a grain of salt in our special case. If we would be building airplanes, even more, of course. Yeah? But still, it's true. And yeah, basically, yeah, I'm bringing this up because of it's the execution circle, and that is so important for where we are right now, because we are quite a bit beyond idea, and we're already successfully executing. But basically, there is room for improvement in our execution. That's why this topic is coming up. But also because I noticed in the past people being uncomfortable with Mark Zuckerberg's citation here, which I crossed out here. This done is better than perfect. This was super unintuitive for many, and for a good reason. Basically, what we just said. Because if it's done but it's crap, then okay, what? Yeah. So there needs to be a certain level of perfection, of course. Yeah. So this citation was always not so well received, and I was always thinking about, okay, can I find a better one? And I found one. Mark Twain said, "Continuous improvement is better than delayed perfection." I think this makes it much, much clearer what is actually meant, and gets it right, so to say, what needs to be done. Because even your customer will appreciate continuous improvement than delayed perfection, because we might be out of business when we deliver perfection. That's the issue with working too long on something then absolutely perfect, and maybe having developed the wrong product accidentally. So yeah, that's the execution circle. the creeds are nice, but actually what does this mean? So we might all agree that this is right, but how? Yeah, what to do differently? And I don't know. Yeah, I just think it will help to ask ourselves regularly a couple of questions. What's most important right now? Because oftentimes we realize retrospectively that something that we've spent a lot of time working on was probably not even so important, compromising other things that would have been much more important that we then learned from the customer, but we didn't realize in between. So just having kind of a loop that we run through, asking this question all the time in all of our minds will definitely help improving here. Is there a sensible iterative approach for this? So basically, am I executing in approach 1 or am I executing in approach 2? Also reflecting on this all the time. Can I deliver something intermediately that makes sense, with which I can test internally or externally? Or do I need to continue to reach the perfection that is relevant for a release? It's obvious, of course, it seems obvious, but I think it's always like this, asking these questions all over again and then reflecting on them will help. Who is the customer needing this and why? That's now the aspect that, the customer is super important, right? Because without the customer needing it, without the customer appreciating it, we're all doing it for nothing. And I know that this is a perspective that is, if you're somewhere in product development or even, maybe in pre-development a bit less, because this is often connected to customer inquiries. But when you're just working on a feature, so to say, of course, you're not reflecting every day, okay, does the customer need that? Because it's the specification somebody told you to implement this feature, of course. Still, even for you working on a particular feature in the software, in a part of the hardware circuitry and so on, occasionally stepping back and wondering, okay, basically, why actually do we need this? Yeah? Why is this important for the customer? Even that it might be a stupid thought because it's so far away. Yeah? Obviously, it was required for something, otherwise we wouldn't have started it, right? But we might be executing on a path that is just a bit off, and it will waste time and money and energy, and we'll have more trouble in the end. So in any situation, asking this all the time is a good idea. Do I really help the customer? By doing this is kind of a different version of question 3. And this, of course, depends on the level as well. That's especially also for product management to constantly reflect. There might be more questions like this. So basically, I'm encouraging, especially also the leadership, to maybe, I didn't put so much time into formulating these questions. Yeah? So I would find it great if we really come up with a set of questions to constantly ask, which are probably better formulated than these. So that's why there is a 0.5 with ... or so. Maybe we'll put some posters in the rooms, with 3 questions that we're always running through. Just the feeling that this might be something good. What is that? Oh, I've got a double animation here. Now, I wanted to add something here, again, some external view. Elon Musk coined this citation: possibly the most common error of a smart engineer is to optimize a thing that should not exist. So basically this thing, delete, is another approach to this. So maybe a guidance for formulating our questions is in a way questioning the requirements. Even that you were told to implement something, okay, why? Question them. If it's clear, okay, it needs to be like this after questioning, okay, good. But maybe they were a stupid idea. Maybe the product manager didn't have enough time to think about it. Maybe we didn't talk enough with the customer about it. We learn later, so constantly questioning the requirements makes a lot of sense. Then delete them, or parts of the processes, not only for requirements, but this is also for basically all way of executing on the project. Then simplify, optimize the design, accelerate cycle time, and automate. Elon says when he talks about that also a very common misconception, which is actually more intuitive, is that people, especially an executing engineer, often starts to automate and try to accelerate cycle time or to simplify and optimize, basically exactly in the opposite direction. So there is something, there's kind of a stuff, that is being worked on, and it's challenging. It's a difficult thing to work on, and then we start trying to automate to tackle that effort better. Then we try to accelerate it, make it faster. Then we try to simplify and optimize, and then we realize, oh, this was all not required. We wouldn't need to do this actually. So doing it the other way around is less intuitive, but much more prone to success. I think he proved this a couple of times. Summary, successful execution, what it's about. My view of basically success of execution formulated differently, kind of again in a form that we could memorize. So first, I think it means that only timely results count. Execution is never successful when there is no result. The way how you performed, basically how much fun we had together and so on, this in the end it doesn't count. It's important for us, it's important that we're giving our best every day, but in the end it's about the results. We should never forget about this, and in our daily work we should not forget about that. Without a result, without a timely result, there is no execution success. Second, customer is key. Without a happy customer, there is no successful execution, already mentioned before. So happy customers are the only valid measure if we executed successfully or not. That we make money, by the way, that we have fun doing this, that the company is doing well and so on, of course, as well, important. But this is all related. In the end, it comes down to a happy customer. So the customer is not happy if we're not happy, because then he will not get a good product, basically. So ultimately, the happy customer is always right, no matter how you turn it, and no matter what other aspects are there. And the most important one is that it's all about the team's excellence. So execution is, of course, about us, and maybe a little bit of AI in the future. But it's about our doing. So it's about you. It's about what you do every day, every minute, every week and month and year, and how we do it. And we've got again a double animation. So sorry. I think we've got an amazing team in a worldwide comparison at Synapticon. This is why we're such a special company. That's why we're basically performing and excelling in a very, very different way than any other company in our industry. And I want to give praise to that, and basically thought it would be a great idea if we have some kind of an annual employee award that kind of celebrates this excellence and honors the ones that really gave their very best every year. I mean, we all do this, right? But we might together agree that a couple of us executed particularly well in a year, and everybody could be this. So I propose that basically every year 5 Synaptinauts that really went above and beyond and gave the best example, they will be elected by all Synaptinauts. So this will not be decided by management or whatever, but we will all vote for each other, so to say. So basically everyone will pick the 5 they think they are. You can also vote for yourself, of course, if you think. It's like when there is a political election. So, and then we'll have these 5. So, and what will they get? Of course, career reputation, very clearly, and the praise itself, but also a 2,000 euro voucher to be used for education programs or travel, for temporary work at Synapticon China, if you're working at Synapticon China, vice versa, as an experience. So this is for this year. We will probably invent a prize for every other year. And of course, there might be some folks who anyway go to China occasionally. This is then, we will think about something special, but most of you don't have the opportunity to go to an exciting other place for work, and experience our company in other locations. So for this year, I thought that's a good start to give everyone, so to say, the chance to experience this country and the team there and the customers there. Eligible are all except C-level. I'm sorry. So, Simon and Andrea probably obviously expected this already. Yeah, so we'll do this after the seminar day. I'll switch it live. It will be done with Office Vibe, and yeah, then yeah, let's celebrate ourselves. And of course, this doesn't mean that everybody else sucked. Yeah, but there can be only a few winners, as always, in a game. So, but I think it will, it will inspire us to, yeah, kind of to be in a positive competition and to give our best, to remind ourselves that it's great to give our best all the time, and keep, even that we grow, yeah, and we become a more normal organization. Also, unfortunately, a slower organization, that we keep some spirit and fire and energy. It's just one contribution to that. That's the idea. All right, hackathon. And that was the keynote. So let's Bootcamp 24. Let's. Well, let me know if you don't think that's a good idea what I just proposed. Anyone?